Good evening and welcome to this edition of the Island Stats Football Show. I'm your host, Earl Baston. Joining me as co-host, Garrett Punchy Dill and Maceo Dill. Gentlemen, first of all, welcome. We are also joined by the newly appointed head coach of the Dandy Town Hornets in Aaron Dankins. As we all know, Mr. Dankins is a wealth of knowledge when it comes to the coaching part. Aaron, first of all, can you just enlighten us on the change at the St. John's Club? Because obviously we knew that Kwame Steed had been leading up the charge of the head coach position over the last few years, and now we see this change.
At Dannytown, we have a coaching staff, and I've been a part of the staff for 4 years. Last season we were supporting Kwame, and this season it's time for the staff to support me. Kwame has some off the field issues. He's still a part of the coaching staff. So when Kwame is ready to return, we'll continue to support him. So right now I'm just filling up the space. The club has a wealth of knowledge with coaches. So I mean, we have enough coaches, so we have enough people to lean on. So we have a good pool of knowledge. It's just my turn just to take the seat and be supported.
Now, before I let these two guys jump in, you had a stint as the head coach for Flanagan's Onions a few seasons ago. How much of that experience? I know you've also coached women's football for quite some time, but coaching men is a little different.
It definitely is. It's definitely different. Flanagan's was a welcome test for myself because primarily I did come up coaching the women's programs. It stretched me and it grew me, and thank you to Mick and Flanagan's for that. It's different. I mean, women bring something different to the game. They view the game differently, where men, it's more egos. It's more competitive. It's just driven a little bit differently. Women tend to play football less for passion, more for more social. And they play for each other, and their emotional side of the game, or their emotional motivation for the game is different than men. So to switch between men and females was a bit difficult, and I think Flanagan's was the right place for that for me, because they didn't know me, I didn't know them, and we got to know each other and we got to grow, and some of those relationships you will see are still ongoing. There's a few Flanagan's players that are in Dannytown now.
Punch?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, speaking of you.
Yeah. Hey, how you doing, Aaron? It's great to have you on the show. I wish you the best. With your new challenge. Talking about challenges, I'm glad because I was going to ask you that question also. What's that transformation like from the national level with the girls coaching? And you answer that question. The other thing that I would like to know is what would be your biggest challenges now that you're in charge of Dandytown? What would be your biggest challenges there?
The biggest challenge for me personally, the club's got a steep history. The winners. It's a top club, and my biggest challenge is keeping the players motivated. COVID has brought some challenges to people's lives, so the motivation levels are a bit different and difficult. And the other challenge is, so Dannytown is unique. So if you played out St. John's, field's not perfect. It's a magic in the unstructured part of Dandytown, if you understand what I'm saying. And me being in the National Academy, primarily that's what my coaching path has been through, and that's all structured. So to come from a structured environment to not break an unstructured environment, because that's the magic of Dennytown. So that was and is a current challenge of mine, to not break the magic that they have, to kind of meld the two, to bring some structure, but allow them to be unstructured. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's one of my challenges.
It's called organized chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah. Well, because I'm glad you said that, Aaron, because I'm always using that terminology, using that word structure in this country. I've been in some training sessions that have been held by some other teams. I'm not going to the names, but I've been very disturbed of what I've seen in the structure of the sessions. And so I'm glad that they have a person like you that's been in the national program, that I'm sure is going to add a lot more structure to Dennytown's program. That's what I would like to say about you.
Nice.
Yeah, welcome to the show, Hankins, and again, like Punchy, good luck with it. I mean, you mentioned something earlier about the difference in men and women in the ego, and quite frankly, women are just more intelligent and they're easy to coach and easy to work.
I didn't want to say that.
I said it. You know what I mean? I say stuff, right? I say something. I just say stuff. So they're more intelligent. I had an opportunity to coach women, and I loved it. Actually, I did it with you. I loved it because women get it quicker. Challenge is with the women is that you have to build their ego, and the man, you have to manage their ego. You have to manage their ego, and that's the question I have for you. You have some big personalities at Dennytown. You have a lot of big personalities. How do you see yourself being able to create that balance? Because you used a good word that you're trying not to interfere with the rawness of it, but you also have to interfere with that a bit to implement your personality, because coaching becomes the personality of the coach. So your personality, I know your personality well. You want to be structured.
Yeah.
Where did you find that balance? And I like that you talked about your coaching team, but where did you find that balance of implementing a bit of structure?
Yeah, that is and was one of my struggles. So again, talking about the females. So the females, they inherently trust you, the coach. When I went to Flanagan's, they didn't know me, so they trusted me. So at Dennytown, they're used to big coaches, big players. So it's like, who the heck are you? You have to earn the right to coach these guys, and earn their respect to an extent. So, like I said, I've been around them for, this is going on my fourth season now. So, being there, being around the players, I've earned their respect. And again, there's key players in the team that you kind of have to reel in, that talk to the players. So there are about 4 players who I use to bridge. So if I can't connect with maybe 2 or 3 of the big personalities, I'll just use another player to bridge that. And it's worked well so far. Information, it goes up and it comes back down. The main thing for me is one, to be transparent, to let them, to let them feel like I hear what they're saying, and what they're saying is important, and to understand that, yes, I am the head coach, but I'm there to help them to be successful. I'm there to help them on their football journey. So, I'm just there to help them, just there to assist them. So, I think it's worked well so far.
You initially said about the team around you and the team that you work with as head coaches, but we've seen it whenever there's a shuffle of coaching staff. that person kind of has a target on the back by the fans, not necessarily by the players. But what sort of support system is around the St. John's field that would allow you to kind of be comfortable over a period of games before, panic kind of sets in if things don't go well?
The support system there for me personally is great. So, you have John Vickers, Kyle Blankendow, Devar, who else is there? That those guys, I mean, those are big football names. People who have been through some of the things that I'm going to go through. So I'm comfortable knowing that I can lean on these guys, and these are people that I talk to almost every day on a daily basis. So I mean, Devar does a great job. He's a great president, and he always said that I can't be president and coach. So, I mean, but he's always there or thereabouts. So I feel comfortable and confident that the executive at any time and the other coaches are there to support. The fans are the fans, and they are just as passionate as the players are. So coming into coaching, you have to expect that, and I think that being a National Academy coach, being in some big games, losing some big games, my skin's kind of thick when it comes to that. So I understand the expectation.
Punch?
Yeah, I just discuss some of the players. What should we be? You playing your games next Saturday night? Saturday night coming against them, Show Oct. What type of style would we be looking for with Dennytown? Would it be something different that you're going to add to them? Will you be adding something different to their style of play? Because I do have a perception. I do have a broad perception of what they play. They're young. They're energetic. I've seen them at times when things have been difficult. Before the pandemic came, it was a Storm play game out at VA to play against Robin Hood. Very energetic, quick, fast, but the mistakes were made a lot between from the middle of the park, defending. They let themselves wide open at times against Robin Hood. What's going to make the difference? What will be the difference that you think you will make for them this year?
Firstly, Dennytown has a culture and has a philosophy of how we play, and that has never changed, and it's not going to change. And I don't want to change that. So you will see exciting from football. That's not going to change. The thing that I think and I think you hit the nail on the head, is how the team deals with adversity and adverse moments is one of my pet peeves, and one of the things I really want to work on this season. So if it's something that you should look for, or you should look to see change during the season, is how the team deals with adverse moments. Over the past 2 seasons, there have, as coaches, we said the last 10 minutes, the last 15 minutes of the first half, and the last 15 minutes of the last half is when we self-destruct. So the challenge is for the team to stay mentally engaged and be able to work through adverse moments for 90 minutes. So if there's going to be any change, I'm really trying to focus and concentrate on that. Just like you said, that's where we make a lot of when the pressure's on, a lot of errors. When the pressure's on, a lot of cards. When the pressure's on, imploding and arguing with each other. So those things are important for me to try to stop.
Nice.
Well, definitely, as we're going to interact all season, and me getting around football and doing interviews and stuff, I think you have an interesting challenge here. You have I liken your challenge to Solskjaer's challenge at United, because they definitely have the tools. They have the tools available in the players to be able to compete for the league. So definitely Dennytown, in a Beach, in a Sequoia, in a Goder, and the personnel that you have there, the tools are there to compete for the league. What is your expectation as it comes to that? What are the club's expectation? Do they see themselves do you see it as a transitional season? Do you see it as a season where you should compete for the league? I know the expectation of the players, Doug. They good enough.
The players are ambitious, and because we are a big club, our goals are ambitious. So our goals are going to be to compete, to compete for the league, to compete for everything. Why play the sport? For Danny Town, there is no transition year. That's like for United. There's no transition year. You're there to win. So my goal is to help the players to win.
All right, we're going to take a commercial break. When we come back, we'll have more with Dandy Town coach Aaron Jenkins. We'll be right back.
John Barrett & Son, Bermuda's leading distributor of fine beverages, have brought us something fresh and exciting this month. Mystic Juices, skillfully blended for captivating flavor and loaded with nutritional value. Mystic Juices not only taste remarkably good, one serving will supply an abundance of vitamins A and C, more than a certified measure needed to meet your daily requirements. This month we're featuring delicious and nutritious Mystic Juices in an enticing range of flavors in 64 and 16-ounce bottles. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
My inspiration to write this book has to do with empowering. I want people to understand what it looks like when you are in a position when you don't have the tools around you. If you know me or don't know me, the game, the beautiful game of football, soccer, is and always was a way out. I'm still fearful on what to do, what would happen if I say something.
What can we do in this book to incorporate tools to help specifically our group of young people in Bermuda?
Could you imagine doing a read with little people and breaking everything down for them and having them to have a voice and having conversation pieces, if it's chapter by chapter?
And welcome back. Aaron, taking up the position as the head coach for the Dandy Town Hornets for the upcoming season, how do you think this works in with you in the setup of the National Academy? Does it take away a little bit, or can you manage the two?
It's definitely added stress to my life. I'm trying to manage the two because we have a few national teams in competition. But again, that's the strength of the club, where there's a big enough coaching staff to pick up where I can't attend. So it is a little stress. It does conflict at times. But again, I just have to continue to communicate, continue to be organized, and it works itself out. So I mean, on the academy side, there's enough support over there, and we support each other. And it's the same thing at Danny Town, where so if I communicate early enough that I can't make it, then they feel it. And there's be in January, between January, February, March, there's national team commitments that I have to go through, and the team at Danny Town understand that, and again, because we're a staff, they're able to fill in and take up any of my slack.
Punch?
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, great. Talking about coaching, and because my coaching days I started, I got got my certificates, and my thing was what I want to ask Aaron is, like, say for instance you run into a problem and you need some advice outside of your coaching staff. Is there someone you turn to? Because the people I used to turn to used to be my brothers. When I had my stint at St. David's, and I used to tell them, come watch the games, come watch the sessions, come watch what I'm doing. Is someone outside of any time that you can speak to, that can say, listen, what do you think I can work on, stuff like that? Someone, you don't have to name the person, but do you have someone you can confide in? Is there someone you confide in?
Yeah,
I had enough help. I was lucky, in my team. So it did help me with some David. Trust me, it did.
Yeah.
Does that exist for you?
Definitely. Coming through the National Academy primarily, I have a big support system. If I don't reach out to them, they reach down to me. So I mean, just Maurice Lowe, Scott Morton, those guys are always there, always objective, and always will tell you what you want to hear and what you don't want to hear. So there is definitely a big support system around me. I mean, I sound off to Vance sometimes, but I can't sound off on Saturday to him. But it's a support system. I mean, Coach Keita's always there, so I mean, it's always somebody there or thereabouts that have a genuine interest in me being successful as a coach and as a person. So it is a big support system around me.
Thank you.
Ace?
Well, Aaron, I mean, I want to commend you for coming on this show. A big part of being a coach is bravery, right? It is being able to put yourself in the firing range and take the questions and put yourself up front and make decisions. So, I mean, just you coming on the show, because as I always solicit people to come on the show, they pick their moments where they come on the show as to when they're feeling comfortable enough.
If anybody knows me, I hate this. but again, like you said, if I want the position or if I want to grow myself, I have to put myself in situations where I'm uncomfortable and I don't like to talk. So thank you.
Yeah, so that's a big thing for you, right? That big thing as a coach, showing that bravery to sit in front of the likes of Punchy, and you already know what you get from me.
Yeah, but I will say I didn't know I was going to be the only one here.
Dandy Town like to be on top and be alone, so there you go.
That's fine. I'll set the trend now.
Yeah, so
especially against North Village.
That's a good thing, and what I want to say, I just want to offer some encouragement because I as I've always started all the coaches in Bermuda, and I know the different personalities and the different balance, and what you come with is structure, and you're not going to be able to get away from that personality piece of you as being structured, how you do things. So that's gonna come out at any time. It's gonna come out within that word I like to use, organized chaos, because it's very good for boys learning an organized chaos situation. I use the organized chaos with my brothers and my cousins. I used to create it in the backyard. I'll call a free kick that wasn't a free kick, or I'll call a penalty that wasn't a penalty, just to create the chaos. Right. And how do they manage the chaos?
Right. I was having a similar conversation with Jay Bean this morning, and I was telling him to challenge me, because I know at times I will bring too much structure and lose the players. So I tell them, challenge me, ground me at times. Like, if you feel that I'm saying too much in a structured way and they just need to play, just nudge me and say, just let them go, because I don't want to lose the players in trying to structure them too much.
You gave him that instruction. I know he likes that. He like that.
Definitely. I think you're onto something here, right? You're very much onto something here, because you're recognizing what you hear, and you're recognizing, where you are as a personality versus a player. So when you mention a name like Jay Bean, that's a good name to mention, because he's gonna bring, and Jay's not gonna fault you for saying this. He's gonna bring the crazy piece that needs to be done, because in football with boys, it's a crazy piece. Mm-hmm. I had to coach. I've coached Kevin Jennings, Antoine Jennings, Keith Jennings, and it's a serious crazy piece in that. Like it's an actual crazy piece that's needed to be able to reach them. And
the way I look at it also is that the difference between men and women. Society is a difficult place for young males. And football's a place where they express themselves, and sometimes is where they let their frustrations out. So sometimes you just have to let them go, because you don't know how the week's going, you don't know how the day is going. So sometimes you just have to say, okay, cool, this is what's going on from today, cool, just be upfront, honest, and open with them, and they'll be okay, So I mean, it's football. Football is representative of life and society. So you have to You have to just let them be sometimes.
Before you go, Aaron, let me ask, throughout this whole pandemic and getting ready to restart, and of course you have the opening night against Devonshire Cougars on Saturday, as Punchy mentioned, how has preparation gone in the lead up to the league getting started for Dendy Town Hornets?
It's been, to say it's been perfect would be a lie. I said earlier that COVID has affected people differently, and some players are having difficulty, engaging, then disengaging, then engaging again. But we're going to engage. But here's all the rules that we have to engage with. It's kind of difficult. And I try to respect everybody's opinions on vaccinations, everybody's opinion on testing. But again, I have absolute faith in the players. We have lost a few players to the whole process. I think once it starts back, they'll try to find their way back. But just them understanding it and everybody just living with COVID and living with the restrictions and understanding that some things are put into place not to harm or not to target you, but for the good of the country. Somebody has to make a decision, and some rules have to be followed so that everybody's safe. And if we or you take these decisions personally, it's going to put you in a bad space sometimes. So it's been times where some players are in bad spaces. We've lost a few players because I'm not getting tested, coach. I'm not getting tested to play football. Okay, cool, no problem. But we have a pretty deep team. A lot of young players coming through. So this is the time for some of those young players to shine. The older players are still there. I'm okay. I'm comfortable and confident that we're going to start okay, and we're just going to get better.
Got a bit of a surprise to show you. Someone has written in, and someone has mentioned that the Dendy Town Hornets Triple Crown champion. Oh boy, how is that?
The question I want everybody to ask is why is Vance in black at PHC Stadium in that picture? So is he sending another message? But thank you.
Actually, probably was a green jacket. It was the sun. Vance, I'm on your side, Vance. Yeah. I'll give you a vote.
Hey, Aaron, my last question. Thanks again. Thank you for being on the show. This is always to improve. I always think about the country first and how it's going to, what it means to the direction we're going in. I got a little list here. I'm thinking, well, let's say I've got about 4 teams. I think that you're going to have to really put you to the test. Let's say Somerset with Joe Monk. Then we got North Village with Kenny. Then we've got, I believe, we still got John Barry Newsom with Robin Hood.
We'll talk about that in a few minutes.
Yes, we will. So my thing is, for the country itself, it's great to see that all you guys, the coaches are being certified. And the interesting fact is, the most interesting fact for me is how the team is structured, the way they play, what you are trying to achieve. Because like everybody else, like Mason and I have this conversation all the time about the intelligence of Bermuda players, what are they lacking. And I think that with the new coaching dynamics that's happening in Bermuda, I think it's gonna be good for us. So it's gonna be interesting to see exactly what your team plays like when they play against teams like Somerset away from home, maybe on a Tuesday night. What would you play like against North Village on a Sunday afternoon at 3 o'clock? What should be like when you have to go to St. George's, because at St. George's, down at St. George's, and do Bermuda players travel well, even if they travel for 10, 15, 20 minutes to get to the game? Because I'm telling you, I do know St. George's have really been doing the homework. So I'm saying that I wish you good. I think it's going to be for the betterment of this country in the long run. And people like yourself, what Mason and I and Earl, I keep referring to is structure, organization. That's the direction of this country, I believe, must go in, must head in that direction, so that we know that we are headed, we are going to be. So when the Bermuda players get to go to the national program, they are at least ready.
Right.
They're mentally and physically ready. That, I believe, is the challenges that that you are facing today.
Definitely. Yeah.
That's the challenge that I think, and I wish you well. And thanks a lot for being on the show.
Thank you. The coaches and the teams that you mentioned definitely all come with their different nuances and their different challenges. I think Joe Ma is probably one of the best chaos coaches on the island. He coaches in the moment about. So we do have conversations. We do have thought processes. It's every Sunday or every match is a chess match. It's just what are you willing to sacrifice to advance your pawns. So it's going to be interesting for me. Like I said, sitting behind Duval, sitting behind Kwame, sitting behind Maurice, sitting behind a lot of these experienced coaches. You pick up some tricks, you pick up some things. So it's going to be interesting. It's definitely going to be a challenge. But the challenge. The challenge most of the time is not for me. The challenge is for the players, because at the end of the day, it's 11v11, and I just have to get the information out to them. They have to receive it, and I think we'll be okay. It's going to be very interesting. The team for me that you didn't mention, PHC. I think PHC is going to bring something different this season. So this is going to be interesting for everybody. I think football, once everybody gets their fitness levels where they want to be and start to play again, I think football is going to be very interesting this year. I want to say maybe 5 teams I think are going to be battling up there. So I see it being wide open.
Final question, Mace?
No, I'm good. Good luck, but I think we're in for something very interesting at any time. I think all the luck. It's something that when structure meets chaos, something very interesting can happen. I've seen it enough times. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And I want to say thank you very much and good luck. We'll see you Saturday night, 9:00. Kickoff at the BAA Field, Premier Division matchup between the Dennytown Hornets and the Devonshire Cougars. Again, good luck. And we'll see you throughout the season, okay?
Okay.
We're going to take a little commercial break, and when we come back, we'll have more with the Island Stats Football Show. We'll be right back.
The use of butter goes back millennia, and its exalted status in the cooking world and in so many kitchens is undeniable. Around 3,000 years ago, ghee, or clarified butter, was developed in India and is the cooking oil of choice in many regions of the subcontinent, and compared to butter has a higher smoke point, reduced dairy solids, and a more robust, nuanced flavor. Enter Organic Valley, creators of a certified organic version of this versatile traditional staple. This month we're featuring Organic Valley Ghee Clarified Butter. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
My inspiration to write this book has to do with empowering. I want people to understand what it looks like when you are in a position when you don't have the tools around you. If you know me or don't know me, the beautiful game of football, soccer, is and always was a way out. Still fearful on what to do, what would happen if I say something.
What can we do in this book to incorporate tools to help specifically our group of young people in Bermuda?
Could you imagine doing a read with little people and breaking everything down for them and having them to have a voice and having conversation pieces, if it's chapter by chapter?
And welcome back. Well, Punch, you did mention a coach, but we're getting reports that that coach is not going to be in that position for that particular team this year. And we speak of John Barry Newsom. I know there have been, it's been kind of quiet, but we've been reliably informed that he will not coach Robin Hood this season, which will be another big blow for them because they've lost quite a few players, and now to lose an influential coach. Maybe John Barry heard Maceo last week, because Maceo was shouting to the rooftops about Wolves go get John Barry. So you think Wolves went wrong and got a Maceo?
Hey, listen. Let me answer. Let me answer that. Because I'm always picking on Wolves. I'm sorry. I have the soft spot for them. I really do.
Right.
I always have. They're like Namwood. They're like next to North Village. Sydney Leeds came over, but my problem has always been like they just let's get this together here, you guys, because you can do a lot more. I tell you, go watch the training sessions when they go down there. They got a whole bunch of people down there playing these low spaces, and I just find it a little bit off the cuff. Jason Lee has joined them.
Yes.
From North Village. I think also Mr. Tucker, who didn't play for us last year, he's rejoined them. It's like going back to help them.
Right.
My problem with Fam, I think Maceo is also saying this also, is that who's in charge of them? If John Barry Newsom takes that job, I think you'll see a turnaround. You would definitely see a much better organized. You would see a much better Wolves outfit, because they do have talent. They have a lot of good talent here. Yeah, they do. And it's a community team too. Like Show Oct, Norfolk is a little different now. Norfolk has become a lot different now. It's going back to that with the family traditional players coming out of the families. But Wolves had that for years. So I'm hoping that John Barry will take that position maybe, and let's see how that goes.
Mace?
Well, I keep my ear to the ground all the time, right? In the football circles, and that was part of the reason I felt I could be successful, because I investigated. I keep my ear to the ground. It would be good for football if John Barry was down there. It doesn't surprise me if he's not going to be at Robinwood. So that starts to make sense. It starts to make sense for me as to the actions of players. Something internally is going on. Something's internally going on where the players are acting in mass numbers like that.
It's a scary thought. Only because, because they were talking about now that they had the youth program joined up with them and filtering in the younger players into the system. It's got to be worrying now that a person that you would have probably penned in to help groom these youngsters into the senior program is now no longer there.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me if I see Richard Torr pop up at Robinwood, because he's been running that youth program there. It wouldn't surprise me if he pops up at Robinwood.
Well, I've been doing my homework trying to find out some stuff on Paget Lions. Right now, it's almost like a disaster at present. I mean, I don't think they've had a training session. The league's due to start on Sunday. We don't even know how many players have been registered. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting come 12:30 on Sunday if they have a team. They're supposed to travel to Island Range, to Malabar.
Oh, we already know that historically they defaulted games, right? That's not new. If we look at the signing, we didn't see a lot of players going back to Paget to sign, and historically what they would do, they'll get the grassroots people and people like Dion Stovall to come back and help them. That's not happening. I highly doubt it if they feel a team. I highly doubt it if they're capable of feeling a team. I ain't heard of a coach, and so I highly doubt it.
One of the other teams that I'm curious but haven't had much information on is the Boulevard Blazers. They've been quiet. Have you heard anything about them, or have you seen them training?
Well, they didn't lose a lot of players, and they're still got the players that are there. They don't train just by they don't really train. They play.
But usually, while daylight savings around, you'll see them kicking together.
Training is not something they're historically done. I think the last time Boulevard bases are properly trained, and Andrew Bascom was there.
Okay.
So training is not something they historically do. They play.
No. Yeah, good point, Mace. Good point. Well, I'm glad you brought that up. I'm glad you got to bring those particular points of why these clubs are in the positions they are. Let's say when Boulevard, going back to Andrew's days, when David Baskin was playing for them, when they were Triple Crown. Look what's happened in terms of let's look at what's happened to Paget.
Mm-hmm.
I'm great for Social Club that I think Troy Lewis stepped in. The organization he's been pushing it. That's why you can see where they are. But the teams, we can. It's not hard to call it. We can put them on 5 fingers and say, okay, let's see what's going to happen in this year in that division.
Right.
Iron Rangers, Wolves. I think Wolves going to be okay. St. Davis will still be around. Hamilton Parish will be a bit Florida. Paget, we've seen that before, and it's the way our society is stupid. It's also part of the society that world football is in Paget, because the best players will go to PHC or to Southampton Rangers.
Right.
And talking about Southampton Rangers, just to mention Southampton Rangers, I'm glad Streaker has got the job. It's going to be very interesting for him also.
Yeah, I mean, he's had a mass exodus as well.
Oh, yeah. Yes, we're very interested to see what he's going to do. A mass exodus. So it's no secret that teams that we're talking about, discussing now, why they are where they are in terms of planning, structure, our society, how it's changed. And it seems that we're talking about the same teams that will always be there. What I am getting back to that, but when getting back to Vasco da Gama, look what transformation of Vasco coming from when they had an accident, they just stopped. Now all of a sudden, they've got a person that's in charge, that's doing the homework, that's very committed to them, and they also have a following there. So, so I see them being okay for the next couple of years. The interesting fact is how long that will last. Just as how long it will last. Gary Adams, how long it will last. If he leaves, what would happen? And that's the difference, because it's got to be so. We're going to be so, like I said, with the team in such a small country. Those things that we're guessing about, it ain't going to work. It just ain't going to work no more. Just hope the guy's going to show up. Train the Paget. It's just not going to work.
It's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, it's a recipe for disaster. That now, adding to that about what's happening at St. George's. I'm glad for St. George's. I keep stoking the fire. I think they're doing good.
And you should get me in trouble again.
Yeah. I work with anyway. Yeah. I'm glad.
How much you paying Punchy? That's what I get. How much you paying Punchy?
I still just I saw them before we shut down again. I think Carl Roberts was there. And I think they're really doing the homework with what they're trying to achieve on. And I'm glad for them. That's the future. That's the future of what's happening at PHC. The structure's being refocused. I think Mr. Trott, I don't know, I call him Winston Joe Trott, Junior Trott. I think you will see his they're not bad. They got pretty good players. I hope, again, it's very important for these clubs like PHC, North Village, Somerset, Dennytown, to really be at the top level. In any country, you've got to have 4 teams that are top that show the way. This is how we work. This is the direction. This is how you got to be organized. And I don't know what's going to happen with Somerset Eagles. I think they're trying. They're still young, But I just say that, we getting back to the other team that Paget and I saw it coming, and I saw the Boulevard too. Yeah.
But we're going to take our last commercial break. But when we come back, we want to talk about something Aaron Denkin said, and that's we see the teams on the outside listed, but then there's those players who say, "Coach, I'm not getting tested, so I'm not going to play." How much of those players can actually hurt that team if they're been one that they've looked to build a team around? But we're going to take our commercial break. When we come back, we can discuss that. We'll be right back.
John Barrett and Son, Bermuda's leading distributor of fine beverages, have brought us something fresh and exciting this month. Mystic Juices, skillfully blended for captivating flavor and loaded with nutritional value. Mystic Juices not only taste remarkably good, one serving will supply an abundance of vitamins A and C, more than the certified measure needed to meet your daily requirements. This month we're featuring delicious and nutritious Mystic Juices in an enticing range of flavors in 64 and 16-ounce bottles. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
My inspiration to write this book has to do with empowering. I want people to understand what it looks like when you are in a position when you don't have the tools around you. If you know me or don't know me, the game, the beautiful game of football, soccer, is and always was a way out. Still fearful on what to do, what would happen if I say something.
What can we do in this book to incorporate tools to help specifically our group of young people in Bermuda?
Could you imagine doing a read with little people and breaking everything down for them and having them to have a voice and having conversation pieces, if it's chapter by chapter?
And welcome back. Mace, just think about it. Let's hypothetically use a team like North Village with some solid players, especially straight down the middle. If two or three of those players decide, you know what, I don't want to go through the hassle of being tested and all of that, that kind of hurts the program, especially for delivery. I know you could always get players to replace them, but some people in teams are very difficult to replace over a long-term period as opposed to just a one-game off.
Yeah, COVID's going to impact teams number-wise because you need numbers to get through the season, right? And you need numbers to challenge each player. Some things are going to manifest itself, whereas the younger kids are going to say, I'll get tested if it means I can't have a chance to play. So they get an opportunity. And then the trend that's going to happen once football is consistent, you'll see people want to play it. And then, you know, you can see an unsettling situation with players coming back in and wanting a spot. So that's going to be something that's going to be needing to be managed by each coach. Like COVID now is a management thing that you got to add to. Not that I'm not just managing the striker, the goalkeeper, the training session. I'm managing how these guys negotiate through COVID. You know, some coaches historically, in some leagues historically, let's take the NBA. The NBA just said, you know what, if you're not vaccinated, you can't play. We're not trying to manage all the intimate pieces of COVID with you. Like, you have to, you know, the NFL, some of those organizations just took that stance. But that we're not taking that stance in Bermuda, so that now means that we're gonna manage some pieces of it. You know, and that's gonna be a deciding factor.
Punchy, just hearing what Maceo is saying, would that make sense for someone who is the head coach to have a group of people around them that somebody could kind of take certain things off of his or her plate to kind of help the entire program? Because we heard Aaron talk about the team of coaches. So people will be delegated different roles and responsibilities. So obviously, you know, one of those things would be the COVID measure structure.
Yeah. Well, it comes back to, very, very good question. Very good question. I think we are still coming back to the fact that amateur status in the country. And I think that's going to add to the problems too, because, you know, when you demand the person to it, you will say, hey, you know, I need you to play, but you don't want to get that way. If it was a professional environment, it's a totally different one. Adding to what Maceo said. So we're in a really, you're going to see a lot of ups and downs and who's playing, who's not playing, and why isn't he playing? And it's gonna add to the headaches for the coaching staff. You know, because then players to say, well, you know, like I said, it was still, we got to always remember, we're still in the environment of an amateur environment. Even though we want to demand the players to do this so they can help the team, but guys will just say no. And then it's a family, you know, some guys say, you tell me, take no test. And then they tell them, you gotta go take no test like that. I've heard those conversations.
Yeah.
Thinking, so we're gonna have it's a dilemma.
Right. Well, the dilemma comes, and correct me if I'm wrong, Maceo, the guys that choose not to get vaccinated, one, refuse to get tested, two, they can't even go watch the game because the games will be under safety. So they'll be out of football the entire time.
Yeah.
Then what happens?
Yep.
Yeah. No, yep. You're exactly right. But again, I go back to the power of sports. The power of sports makes us do certain things.
Oh, yeah. Once we start.
The power of sports makes us do certain things. Like I've seen the power of sports. Government can make us do certain things. My mother can make me do certain things. My dad can make me do certain things. But football can make me do certain things.
It'd be a long line around Bull's head week 2.
Yeah. Football can make me do certain things, and I like to share with Bermuda the joke of the Connie game. I like to share because obviously I've been running the testing centers, and we know at Bayless Bay there are people at Bayless Bay that don't know that it's a pandemic, don't care if it's vaccination, don't care if they need a test, but they care to go to the Connie game.
Yeah.
And because they know my father and they know me, they're coming to me looking for a test to go for the Connie game, and they're coming to me at a testing site and saying, Dio, if you want to vaccinate me, this is my arm now. I want to go to the game on Sunday. That's the power of sports.
Yeah.
Once we get the sports up and running, we're going to see people fall in line. We will see people fall in line eventually. That's going to be a balance because that's the power of sports, right?
Yeah. Well, we've got a statement here which actually adds to more problems that a coach would have, because the big problem for local coaches is that the reality they can't pick his team until under the 2 hours before the game due to the testing. So you could have a team in mind, but not necessarily will that team be available for you until after that test is done.
Somebody could test positive, and next thing you know,
right?
You know, but you know what? For me, I kid you not. For me, as a coach, I would actually like to pick my team 30 minutes before the game. I see these.
Yeah, once you see them, you see them warming up a little bit. Yeah.
I would actually like to pick my team after I see them warming up. Like in the junior ranks, but I can pick my team 10 minutes before the game.
Right.
Like I have that skill versus having to submit something 2 hours before the game. So it could be a positive.
Right.
It could be a positive. You know, those things could quietly be a positive for coaches. And I know all coaches like to do that. Like that's why they wait to the last minute to pick their team, because they want to see what this guy's doing.
Right.
How is he coming here today?
Right.
What did he do last night? How is he warming up? Is he ready?
But you can make changes to your starting lineup before the referee blows the whistle. So I mean, if you got your 18 down there, you could switch somebody in, switch somebody out. You don't always want to do that.
Yeah, that potentially. Let's say I picked a team and everybody's good, and I realize somebody in the warm up not doing what I wanted to do, and I change it. That unsettles my whole team. Versus if
but that's only if they know who's starting.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because that you tell the starting lineup, come back in. Everybody come back inside. But you could do that. You could do that the 25 minutes before.
Yep.
You know what I mean? If you plan it out, like you've seen somebody warm up and you're saying, okay, I could tell he worked all night because you know he works at night, or he's been out all night, or you know what I mean, or it's just not feeling it today. You know what I mean? You might have to quietly pull that person aside and say, hey, today might not be a day to start. Let's sit on the bench and let's review it, and then see if we can get you in the game later on. But those type of things that and of course that testing, the rapid test, that you would come with, almost got to invite 22 guys to come and get it.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you have to in case somebody tests positive.
Right, which now creates even a bigger problem because, you get the exemption, but what do you do with the other players? Do they have to leave, or do they get to stay? Do ones that are not in the
Well,
team?
the idea with the engineer testing, you test it, you test them in accordance with the protocols of testing, where you keep social distance and all those things. So you're not exposing everybody else. So that is going to be a part. That's going to be a headache too, you know. But again, it becomes another organization piece. Quietly, when I saw youth football ruling out because of COVID, I saw fields be more organized. I saw better organization.
Right.
This COVID started to force better organization.
Right. But as we know, Punchy, you've seen it over the years. When teams travel, senior teams travel, they travel together. You see PHC, they might not be on a bus, but they're in cars and their own bikes. They're traveling together. Devonshire Cougars travel on a bus together. Somerset, Rangers, all these teams travel on a bus together. But before the game, 2 hours before the game, they then have to separate and get tested. But they all came in the same vehicle. So how does this actually mathematically make sense?
Yeah, it's just we're just in, like I said, we're in this times now. I think the ones that are really going to show that they are really organized and that if this happens, then this is what we're going to do. That's the one. That's what I'm looking for to see. Okay, why is that player not playing today? Because he didn't get tested, or he won't get tested. They're one of your better players. So it's going to be it's hard. It's hard. It's going to be some headaches for these coaches and even for the spectators. And the other asking, what, he didn't get tested? What do you mean he ain't playing today? Not knowing what really went on. So it's really something. It's extra headaches for these coaches, and I wish them the best. I just wish them the best, and because, like you said, like you're talking, you already pick your team 2 hours, a couple hours for the game, and you get there, and then whatever the results are not, it's just going to be something that we just gonna have to be patient with and say, well, this is what I'm dealing with today. And I do think, I'm going to repeat myself, the ones that are constantly organized and say, if this happens, then this is what we're going to do, then I think that's where the success will come in. That's where you will see a success, a highly successful rate. That's what I think will happen.
Let me throw something in the spanner here, right? It works here. This bit of chaos that Kovas is going to create, it lends favor to Jamal Wilkinson that operates well in chaos.
Right. Yeah.
That Jamal Wilkinson adjusts as well in chaos. It's right in the So if a player has to come on and another player has to come in and he has to move something around, that's what he does well.
Right. Yeah.
So it can put itself to favor somebody like a Jamal Wilkinson.
Yeah, he starts out structurally, but can change it up at any point in time, depending on how the game goes.
Yeah. Here we go. And that's what's going to be interesting about Saturday night coming. It said the game coming up. It's going to be very interesting. Not so much about who's playing who, it's about who's going to be on the field.
Yeah. I want to know what the plan is if a player does test positive. Who escorts him from the field? What if it's a young player who's come with another player in their car that can't leave because that's their transportation? What happens to the player?
Yeah.
If you have very protocols in place, right?
Yeah.
You have the protocols in place as to what happens if this happens. These are the protocols that needs to happen. Nobody should have those protocols in place.
But you know in Bermuda, something strange that hasn't been thought about or figured out happens, and then everybody stand around and say, okay, now what?
What do we do?
Yeah. Because I don't think there's enough conversation about the what ifs.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's just the standards.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
There's not a lot of conversations about the what ifs.
What ifs. Exactly. That's what we're talking about.
And the thing is, I know that you said the association, but on game day, it's the club that's got to fulfill the duty and the regulations of what's got to be done. Do they have the manpower to do so, to execute what needs to happen?
You bring up a lot of interesting points, man.
Yeah.
You bring up a lot of interesting points. I mean, we know of a cup match.
Yeah.
There was a player at cup match that was feeling sick,
Mm.
and that player had symptoms like COVID symptoms because he was feeling sick. That could have impacted the whole match
Mm-hmm.
and the whole idea. But it was something that was done. He got a test done that said, okay, he didn't have COVID. Okay, so it was on. But these measures should be in place.
Mm-hmm.
These measures
Yeah.
should be in place, early. It should be talked about in place, and that's part of the things that I was, from my other hand, was trying to have conversations around what are the solutions versus
Mm.
versus the conversations around, well, these are the rules. The rules have been legalized now. The rules have been legalized, whether we think they're fair or unfair, or they're right or not right. They've been legalized. So now, what is the solution to operate with them? That's the conversations that need to be had within sports now.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, gentlemen, as you said at the top of the show, next week this time, hopefully, we're talking about what happened the Saturday night, what happened on the Sunday. So that's some interesting matchups, not just in the Premier Division, but also in First Division. Looking forward to seeing if or who actually takes over at Robin Hood, if the information we're getting is in fact true. Whether or not Pedrick will show up and have a team. What happens, with all the testing, how this plays out. Do the game start on time? All of that we will actually hopefully know next week Sunday at 6 p.m. when we come on live to talk about football actual playing. We're just shy. What would be just a month shy of a year out of having football because we stopped December the 5th was the last game, and we're coming back October 31st or October 30th. Yeah.
Hey, Earl, I just want to add something to the show. I always try to get kudos to people. For the young, I think her name is Natasha Trott, I believe.
Yes, Natasha Trott, yes.
Yes, I just want to give kudos to her family. It's great to see us in stride with a young lady like herself reaching those heights. And it's good. I try to always just do the homework and say, check on what are we doing where. And if a family is watching, I say that, we're heading in the right direction. I still believe it. One little piece at a time. But to see her there doing that and being able to, it's good. It bodes well for the future of the country, of the refereeing association. So I give kudos to the refereeing association too for her being involved like that. Yes, that's what I want to do.
Yeah. Any parting words, Mace?
But definitely, I jump on Bungie. It's visible what the referees are doing. The coaches have got to do this now.
Yes.
Right? And the players have got to do this because it's visible what the referees are doing. They are producing referees now that are becoming international standard, and they're producing them here. I've seen them.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen them, right? And
Cranston Williams.
Mm-hmm. They say what they like about him, personality-wise, but those is evidence of what the referees are doing. Is the evidence is there. So the rest of us as coaches, the rest of us as players should take. And you know what I've always said? I have this conversation with my buddy Kevin Grant a lot, right? I realized I like talking to Lyndon Rayner about football more than I like talking to football about Kevin Grant, because Lyndon Rayner knows more about football than Kevin Grant. Because
Well, hey.
Lyndon Rayner, he doesn't like it. Lyndon don't like it for winning or losing. He's in the middle refereeing the game and seeing the game from a whole nother perspective.
Yes.
So me, Lyndon, and Kevin used to always go to the gym and I said, you know what? I like talking to Lyndon about football more than you.
Yeah,
I really do.
Well, I'm
saying the public. I like talking to the referees, and even I like talking to Francis. Even
Yes. I just think that again, I think the show with us and I'm going to Dennis, comes back on also, but about us, because now we are asking the questions like just now about the referees. Now the referees again, the referees association are getting their act together.
Oh yeah.
Okay?
Oh, yeah.
The coaching qualifications, the association are making sure they're getting their act together.
Mm-hmm.
Coach is going to be qualified. Now let's see what the players are going to do. Let's see what commitment the players are going to have now. Now you've got everything now you're getting things in place here. Let's see what happens now. Are you going to be committed to what we're trying to achieve for the next 10 years or 5 years? Yeah. Are you committed to this?
Well, so I still say they need representation.
I think exactly that's what the show is about. So I think that's part of what the show is about. So that we can kind of ask these questions that have been lacking, that people have to be taken to task for. Well, that's not right. That ain't working. That ain't work for this country. So at least again, you guys, I'm very happy to be involved in the show. Again, thank you very much for inviting me, Earl, and make sure it's a pleasure having you also there. Here. So again, let's see where we go from here.
Hey Mace, somebody's asking, what about that fire? I think you're supposed to say fire love.
I don't know what it's talking about.
Easy forget. That's it. I just say, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. That's it.
I just saw that come through, so I said, let me.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Hey, Punchy, ask Macy what he is doing at 12:30. I'm sorry, at 1 o'clock. It's gonna go to be steward about another TV tomorrow. Your shoes on the TV.
That was absolutely awful. That was awful. We got it handled.
Yeah. But I'm thinking, Earl, adding to the show, I think I talked to you, Macy, about this. I wanted to speak with some of the women, the mothers of the children that have been overseas and involved in overseas. So maybe I thought about that. Yeah, about the mothers, the sacrifices that the people have made. So maybe we could talk about that also. But again, you guys, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the camaraderie. I enjoyed, speaking with you guys, and even tonight interacting with with the coach, with Danny Thompson, new coach, Aaron. Yeah. It's like, we're asking questions that it's going to be very interesting. Again, it's the direction of the country.
Yeah.
The direction we're going. Yeah.
Definitely. All right, fellas. See you next week. Folks, enjoy your night.
All right, Mace. Talk to you later.